Today's video is about changing the O-rings on a standard MSR fuel pump. I'll talk quickly about the different types of O-ring available and also show you what sizes you need to complete this service. There's a few different types of pump around for the MSRs, but this standard pump is the one used on most MSR liquid fuel stoves, including the Whisperlite. This is my Whisperlite. I've had this for about 20 years and it's a brilliant all-round expedition stove. Okay, tools and parts. So, as well as the pump, you'll need your O-rings, obviously. A little pin is useful to, this is a large needle really, useful to tease the O-ring out of, or one of the O-rings out, and also the cable and valve spanner that comes with the stove. Now if you don't have this anymore, then incidentally a 11mm in metric or a 7/16 imperial spanner will fit the valve nut. There's one more tool you'll need for removing this bit, and you can use this. So this has a slot, so you can remove the fuel pipe bush like this. But if you don't have the tool, as I say, and you need to use the spanners, you can also use a spoon to do this job. Now, where to get the O-rings? The easiest and recommended option by the manufacturers is to buy the MSR maintenance kit, which comes with the O-rings you need in the right type you need, and includes another of these tools if you don't already have so, and a few other bits and pieces. Now the standard maintenance kit for this type of pump is about £23 at the moment, so that's not always an attractive option if you're just doing an O-ring replacement, so you can source them individually. So a few different retailers will sell you individual O-rings from MSR directly, such as Needle Sports in the UK, and they're 65-70p per O-ring, so it's not too expensive. Even cheaper, of course, is to source your own O-rings in the right sizes. So obviously this is the non-recommended approach by the manufacturer. They would always argue that using the exactly specified O-ring when you're dealing with a pressurised petrol stove is the safest thing to do, and who am I to argue against that? So it's at your risk you choose to deviate from the manufacturer's spec. So you'll need to replace the control valve O-ring if you're getting fuel leaking or lack of pressurisation, because the pressure is escaping through the valve here. You'll need to replace the O-ring behind the bush here for the fuel line, if you're getting fuel leaking out of here. If you're not getting leaks from any of these places and you're just not getting pressurisation, it's likely that you need to lubricate or replace the pump cup. So O-ring sizes. So the first O-ring for the control valve is a -007, which is 3.68 by 1.78 millimeters if you're thinking metric or in Europe, or 0.145 times 0.07 inches if you're that way inclined. So importantly, -007 is the size of the fuel valve O-ring. The other O-ring, which is for the fuel tube bush effectively, is a -010, and that's 6.07 by 1.78 millimeters, or 0.239 by 0.07 inches. Okay, so moving on to how to change the O-rings. So looking at the fuel valve O-ring first, the way you remove the fuel valve, actually before we do anything, it's a good idea to take the pump assembly off, and to do that you slide it out to where the line shows, and you give it a twist left, and then it allows you to withdraw the pump cup whilst it's out, it's a good idea to oil your pump cup as well. And to withdraw the valve, you can use your tool to loosen the collar there, give that a few turns out, then give the valve a few turns to unwind. Give that a few turns, give that a few turns, and keep doing that until that's out. You can withdraw the valve, and you'll see that we have the O-ring there. And obviously, to put it back together is just the direct reverse. You insert the valve, start to wind this in, start to wind the collar up, etc., until that is all the way on. The other O-ring, and this you'd know this needs replacing if you start to see fuel leaking out of the fuel connector here, is there's a little O-ring there behind the bushing here. So to remove this, you unscrew like this. As I say, if you don't have this tool, you can use a teaspoon. This will come out, and then your O-ring is just in there, and you can use a little needle just to withdraw that there. Okay, I've already put a new one in, so I'll pop that one back in. Use the bushing to pop that back. Tighten that like that. Okay, good to go. You can plonk that back in and put that back there, and that should twist there, clip back in there like that. Then you should be good to go again.